So the first topic is intellectual organization of information. So actually, what is information? What is the need for organizing information, and how do you organize information in an intellectual way? So that is what we are going to look in this particular lesson actually. So let's see. See, as you might have read in your first semester, about the data, information, knowledge, and wisdom, right? So, information and knowledge are the basic inputs to human growth and socio-economic development. That is true, actually. So, everyone is searching for information, irrespective of their discipline. So, it is essential for their social and as well as their economic growth. So, as a student, you are searching for new information to learn and upgrade your skills so that you can survive in the competitive environment. As I said earlier, so everyone is searching for information irrespective of their domain to upgrade their skills and knowledge so that they can survive in this competitive environment. So the organization of thoughts, everyone will have, you have an idea, everyone will have their ideas. The organization of these thoughts and ideas by the generation of information involves intellectual organization. See, you might be having an idea, but to make that idea into a meaningful information, you have to organize in such a way and present it in such a way. You are, for example, let me say you are having an idea about developing a search engine for developing a search engine for of library resources. That is your idea, but how will you organize that idea into information? That process is called as intellectual organization of information. The raw data which is in your mind, you are going to organize in such a way it contributes to the intellectual output, right? So over the last centuries, information available in documentary form, the information which is documented, so that we call it as explicit information, have grown in great volume in variety and forms. Yeah, lots of information have been documented like books, periodicals, journals, and whatever it may be. To facilitate access to them, secondary tools and techniques are developed involving intellectual organization such as information knowledge, right? See, lots of books are published, lots of journal articles are published, lots of theses are published. So for accessing these theses, we need some secondary resources like library catalogs, like Google search engines, and like indexing and abstracting agencies. So this is how they organize information in such a way so that you can easily store and retrieve it easily. Retrieval is the sole purpose of organizing information. When you search for published information, you need to retrieve it. That is the aim of information. So organization should be done in a careful way so that when we search, you get the correct relevant information appropriately. See, in Google you are searching for so many resources, right? But how will you ensure that you are getting the correct information? Every Google indexes more than lakhs and millions of pages. When you are searching for a keyword or a topic in Google search engine, so you need to get, you are looking for relevant information pertaining to a search query. So how will you make sure? Unless the indexing and the organization is correct, logical, you will not be able to understand. So Google is doing some kind of it's a kind of intellectual organization of available web pages, right? So similarly we are going to do that in our library field, right? See, as I said earlier, it is a product of human intellect and meant for use by others. Yes, whatever we think, whatever our ideas, it is in raw form. It has to be converted into a meaningful information. Therefore, it is disseminated and communicated. Productive transfer of information, transferring information and absorption of same by the users is dependent on the intellectual organization of information at every level of its transfer. What it means is, when I publish my idea into information, when I publish my idea into a journal paper or something, as a journal article, you are searching for that information in that journal or even in Google. So what the journal and Google does, they organizes my idea, that is my published information, in such a way that anyone can use it. See, it is absorbed by the same user dependent on the intellectual organization. If the journal organizes my information in such a way, it is easy for the user to retrieve it. So primary communication of information is most often in textual form. Textual is mean of written and text. and it's logically organized and presented. When this information is properly assimilated by users, what do you mean by assimilation? Assimilation is nothing but what knowledge you gain by reading that information. What knowledge you gain by reading that information. That is assimilation. And they combine with their internal information. This organized aggregate of information becomes knowledge. So when you read published information, you understand something. And you assimilate it and gain knowledge and transfer this process of information into knowledge. For example, let us take this class. I have given this PPT. So today I am teaching you about intellectual organization of information. You might not be aware about this topic. So this is you might have heard this topic, but you may not be aware the concept of this topic. So I am teaching you. I have documented about this topic and I am teaching you, I am providing you with the resources. So you are attending the class and reading this PPT, reading this presentation, and you are assimilating it. You are gaining knowledge from the published information. This is how information transfers into knowledge. So such knowledge, when used in appropriate manner and applied judicially to suitable situation, it becomes wisdom. So after you have gained knowledge about this particular topic or something, you are using this knowledge to solve a problem, to implement to other problems. That knowledge becomes wisdom. So this is how the transfer of information to knowledge to wisdom takes place actually. So organization of information is very essential and very important. It is the primary role of librarians, right? So see, these are the different stages of human thoughts and ideas. See, observation. Usually we observe. That is what you call, that is raw data, idea and data. And after the idea, we organize those ideas into logical form. That is information. So this is, as I said, the ideas and data which is in raw form should be organized in logical way so that it forms information. And after information, you read the subject, the conference and compaction, and you assimilate that information. Okay. After reading the published, after I give this PPT to you, you read this PPT and you gain knowledge from this information. So you learned a new topic and you gain knowledge about this topic. And the next thing is, how do you apply knowledge in various contexts? So now I taught you about what is management, right? So in the previous class, so you learned about the concept of management. So now you need to have that knowledge of basic management to apply in different contexts in the library. So that application of knowledge is called as wisdom. Okay. See, this is, now we are coming to the actual topic, intellectual organization of information. So far we saw about what is data, what is information, so how knowledge is generated using information, and how we are applying our knowledge to the process of wisdom, right? So John Zeman, physicist, described how information turns into knowledge actually. In the context of scientific research, he observed the aim of science is understanding, not the accumulation of data and formula. See, what he says is, the main aim of science is understanding. So when you discover something, it should be understandable, it should be understood by everyone. Not just piling knowledge over knowledge, not just generating new knowledge. It should be understanding. The aim should be the understanding, not extra information. That is what he is trying to convey. So he mentions three aspects of organizing knowledge. So he mentions three aspects, three varieties of organizing knowledge. What are they? Organization by creation. The ideas, the thoughts which is created into information and which is later turned into knowledge is organization. While the creation process itself is it's organizing. And then self-organization. Third is bibliographic organization. So we are going to, in this subject, we are going to look at the third part, bibliographic organization, right? Indexing and abstracting activities are the bibliographic organization. When there is a book, right? When author writes a book, in the end part, there will be an index listed usually in alphabetical order, highlighting the key terms, the key topics of that particular book. So that is called as organization of that particular organization of information about that particular book. Similarly, abstract, which will be available in the front. Abstract or a summary which will be available in the front. It is also highlights what the book is talking about. So this is called as proper bibliographic organization of the information which is available in the book is organized through index and abstracts. That is the meaning of it. And extraction process, as they extract widely scattered piece of information from primary sources. That's true actually. So the book itself, I have written a book, that is a primary source. So you are creating an index for that book by highlighting the key topic, by extracting the key topic. That is a secondary source, right? That is why abstract and index falls in the secondary source. So primary source is the contents of the book and the book itself, and the secondary source is what you extract as key terminologies in the name of index. That is secondary sources. So reviewing, surveying, consolidation of literature or summation process, which uses secondary sources like indexing and abstracting service to organize the information, which in turn provides access to the primary source. So indexing and abstracting plays a major role in organizing intellectual information. So we are going to look about this topic in detail in the forthcoming lessons. So what is the need actually? Why do we need to organize information? That is a big question, right? So I have published a book, and what is the need for organizing? What is the need for organizing these intellectual? What is the need for intellectual organization of information? It is not organizing the intellectual information. You are organizing the information in an intellectual way. That is the meaning of it. So what is the need? So that's we will look at it. The sole purpose of intellectual organization of information, like bibliographies, indexes, abstracts, is to provide relevant information to the users within a time frame with speed, accuracy and use. This is what library is doing actually, right? We are classifying and we are organizing loads of subjects of knowledge into by a scheme of classification, right? We use DDC in academic libraries, right, and UDC in special libraries, mainly. So what we do is, when a user comes to the library without proper organization, he will not be able to find the required book. So intellectual organization of the books available in the library is essential. So that is the primary need. That is the sole purpose for intellectual organization of information. So the acronym is IOI. See, if you see this table carefully, you will be able to understand. See, in the table, in the table, the figure AB is the data of information. That is the data of documents. Let us say we are having a library. So AB is the list of data about the books we are having in the library. To a specific question, so a user asks for a particular book. That is a specific question. CB, CB of the file is assumed to be relevant, and AC is not relevant. You see, when you are searching for a book, when a user asks for a particular book, the area C and B is called relevant. That is the relevant information he is looking for, whereas the area A and C is not relevant. So when a search for information is made or requested by the user, the file gets divided into 4 unequal parts as shown below. See, this is how, when in the internet, the search engine and everything works like this only. When you search for a query, it gets divided into 4 unequal parts. You see that AC, which is not relevant, CB, which is relevant, so EF, which is retrieved. We will see in the next slide. So how this search and retrieval process works actually. You see again this image. In search for relevant documents, which is C and B, EF is retrieved. What is EF? E comes here, F comes here. E consists of, you see the E portion, it consists of non-relevant materials also, whereas F portion consists of relevant materials. So it is a combination of both relevant as well as irrelevant ones. Okay. So for example, when you search for Python in Google search engine, you want Python programming. That is your query. But you will get information about Python Snake as well as Python programming. So which includes irrelevant results, which is Python Snake, and relevant results, Python programming. So that is how it works actually. So, but this result is seldom got in practice. So indexing techniques and tools are designed to get as many relevant documents as could be obtained while searching for documents that carry the required information. So to obtain relevant information, indexing should be done in a proper way. So similarly in library, organization of books should be done in a proper way, so that when the user searches for book in opaque or manual catalog, he gets only the relevant results, not the irrelevant ones. There will be irrelevant ones, but yet the index should be prepared in such a way that maximum relevant results are shown to the user. So this applies equally to all computerized IR systems too. That is, opaque is computerized IR system, right? Manual is we can relate with catalogs. So the next is, this is one pattern, Apupa pattern, which is given by Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, right? This is nothing but it is related to information retrieval. Let me explain how this pattern works actually. The effort in indexing is aimed to get a precise set of documents in a search. That is true. So when a user search for a particular book or something, he wants relevant information only. When he search for a particular thing in opaque by title or something, he wants the particular relevant result, not irrelevant one. So the shadow part, you see the shadow part, U part, that is umbra, in figure is surrounded by the neighbor's semi-dark part, penumbra. That penumbra is surrounded by the unwanted part. A is alien. See, U is the one I want, which is surrounded by some relevant related. A is alien, which is not even relevant to me. That is irrelevant. So then somewhat related ones get to a wider range of documents that may carry the required information and successfully avoids the rest and irrelevant. Hence, to achieve this, IOI plays a crucial role. See, I want only the relevant ones, right? So to get the relevant ones, what do I need? What the librarian should do is, what the indexing agency should do is, they should index the document in such a way, collection in such a way that when a user search for it, they get only the relevant one. See, A stands for alien, which is not even relevant to the context of the user search query. So P is penumbra. Penumbra is nothing but it is somewhat relevant and somewhat not relevant. It is it is surrounded by the semi-dark part, unwanted part, and where penumbra is surrounded by the alien parts, and within the subset of penumbra we are having umbra. That is the relevant one which I am looking for, right? So it looks like this. A search query looks like that. We want only U, but it is surrounded by P as well as alien parts also. So if the indexing is done properly, I will get only the U part. If the indexing is not properly, I will get everything, A, P and U. So it will be difficult for the user to find out which one is the relevant one. So the indexing plays a vital role in selecting the appropriate information, retrieving the appropriate information. So this is about this APU PA pattern. This pattern was developed. This pattern was given by Ranganathan. So IOI in primary communication. So this is the same only what I have said earlier. In macro documents such as books, monographs, projects, technical reports, they carry indexes to locate precise places where an idea occurs and discuss. Yeah, as I told earlier, books contains index as the end part of the document, so that you can search for a particular topic or something. You can directly go to the topic instead of going through all the books. For instance, a document on roses might carry information with reference to rose cultivation, variety of roses, rose scent, and decorative aspects, etc., which are usually catered in text of the document. So the index rows gives you information about these things, like cultivation, varieties of roses. So indexing, a simple index will provide the reader to find appropriate information. That is an example of it. You see, the set of concepts can be mapped properly to get a panoramic view of author's ideas and thoughts. That is very important, right? So if I write a 300-page book or 400-page thesis, it is difficult to read all the pages in a single go, right? So when the reader finds the index, he will get the important topics. He will get to know about the important topics. He will get a panoramic view. In camera we are having, in phone we are having a panoramic capture, right? It will capture everything in a single view. So whatever the thoughts which is expressed by the reader, by the author, will be given in a panoramic view in the name of index. So that is the need for IOI in primary communication. So in secondary sources like indexing system, what is the role of IOI? See, AC Fosca's device indexing system into two primary groups, derived and assigned indexing, which we are having in our syllabus actually. That is the first topic of our syllabus, derived and assigned indexing. It is a useful approach to distinguish their differences. So we talked about what is index, right? So there are two major types of indexing, derived and assigned. So let's see what they are actually. So of all approaches to provide access to documents in information indexing systems, the subject approach is the one that poses problems of accurate retrieval efficiency. Other approach like fact retrieval or author and title retrieval do not pose any serious problem. That is true actually. When I search for a subject, as I told earlier, when Python is a subject, right? When I go search for a type, when I search for a subject or Python or something, it will pose certain problems. It will show about Python programming and Python snake. When I search for author name or title, particular title, Python programming by James or something, it will give the relevant information. So subject approach poses some problem, whereas title or author approach does not have any serious problem. So that is what he is trying to convey. So let us talk about what is derived and what is assigned indexing. Derived indexing is whatever you are deriving from the context of the documents, right? They derive their information for indexing from the document. They solely rely on information which are available in the document without the necessity of adding anything by the indexer or from any source. Whatever available in the document, we can automatically derive using certain tools. There are software indexing tools are there. It is mostly a computerized process where the manual indexer need not add anything new. Whatever you are having in the document, whatever I have written in the document as an author, the tool will automatically derive the key terms from it without adding in, without having the need to add anything new from the indexer. So there are different kinds of derived indexing system, like keyword in context, out of context, alongside context. So these things we will see in the forthcoming later lessons. So these are the different types of derived indexing. The idea is to the idea about this lesson is to enlighten you with the overview of what is indexing and what are the types of indexing. Okay, so in the forthcoming lessons we will go about these indexing systems in detail. So in all this, see the last part, in all these types of indexing, intellectual effort is minimal, therefore suited for computer operations that permit high speed, efficiency and accuracy. See, these kind of indexing are done by computerized system. There is an indexing tools for this. So when we upload a document, it will automatically derive keywords from the document and it will generate an automated index, right? So that is called as derived indexing. So whereas in the case of assigned indexing, as the name itself suggests, manually the indexer assigns, instead of computer doing the topic, instead of deriving it, the index terms are assigned by the indexer to documents for the purpose of storage and retrieval. See, for this process, you need some intellectual skills, like you should have a good knowledge on the subject. So when as an indexer, if you are familiar with library science subject or any subject related to it, you will do indexing related to that particular book only, particular subject only, not from other disciplines, because it will be difficult to understand what the author is trying to convey, right? And ability to analyze documents to identify concepts that are represented in chosen terms in the right context. So you need the indexer need to have an ability to analyze the documents and the concept what they are trying to convey that are represented in the right context, right? So as in the previous example we saw rows, right? So rows is a key term. It's an index term assigned by the indexer which represents a variety of roses, cultivation of roses. So you need to frame a heading in such a way that the concept represents the context of information in the right context. Recognize the sequence in which the concepts are to be related. This is important. The sequence, how the concepts are related to each other. So for this, you need to have a fair knowledge on the document, on the subject which you are doing an index, which the indexer is trying to index index terms. Identification of the relationships between the concepts in terms of their broad and narrow relationships. That is, we call it as a BT, UT. Like that we will come into the vocabulary. When we talk about vocabulary control, we will learn about those concepts. So this relationship is very essential. Again, the important aspect in assigned indexing is the indexer should have sufficient knowledge to analyze and have some certain intellectual capacity so that the indexing will come out good. So once these aspects have been properly accomplished, the index entry format can be determined. So this is about assigned indexing, right? So derived is automatically derives the key terminologies from the document without indexer having the need to do anything or add anything new. Whereas assigned, it is exactly the opposite of derived, where the indexer manually assigns the keywords based on analyzing the content of the document in simple. Okay. So there are different kinds of assigned indexing also. We will see that in the forthcoming classes. So this is the reference of this particular PPT. So you can always go through this for textual content. This is all about intellectual organization of information.